He is late again. Ethan Cole stopped halfway between two rows of memorial markers and looked toward the voice. Haven, 7 Memorial Field had officially closed an hour earlier, but somebody was standing alone near the northern edge of the cemetery. The night temperature had fallen to 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Thin frost silvered the gravel paths, and thousands of memorial markers glowed with soft blue identification lights beneath a black sky. Ethan had come to repair a beacon fault. He had not expected company. The woman stood before a marker that was completely dark. Her skin was vivid cyan blue beneath the surrounding memorial light. Silver-white hair fell around tapered ears, while delicate biological ridges swept from her temples toward elongated cheekbones. Her amber eyes were slightly larger than human eyes, divided by narrow vertical pupils, and fixed on the stars rather than Ethan. "The cemetery closed at 9, he said. She did not turn. "I know." Ethan shifted the diagnostic case in his hand. "Most people use that information as encouragement to leave. I am waiting. For someone." "Yes." The wind moved through the memorial trees with a dry whisper. Ethan looked at the dark marker. No flowers. No photographs. No personal objects. Just a small identification plate beneath the inactive display. "Is this the beacon that reported the fault?" he asked. "It is not a fault. My maintenance system disagrees." "Your maintenance system does not know what it is hearing." That got his attention. Ethan set down the case and connected a portable reader to the marker. No active memorial projection. No scheduled message. Power stable. Internal memory intact. Yet the maintenance log showed a recurring transmission anomaly registered on this exact date every year. Ethan frowned. "How long have you been here?" "Tonight." "That answer makes me nervous about the other answer." She finally looked at him. Her face was beautiful in a way that was unmistakably alien, elegant, but shaped by proportions no human face carried. 6 years. Ethan glanced around the cemetery. "You have been standing here for 6 years. One night each year. That is slightly less alarming." "Only slightly. I repair memorial electronics. My standards for alarming are specialized." Her expression almost changed. Not quite a smile. Then she looked back toward the sky. Ethan opened the marker registry. "Who are you waiting for?" Silence. "You do not have to tell me. He said he would find me here." Ethan's hand paused above the reader. "When?" 6 years ago. The wind moved between them. "And he has not." "Not yet." Ethan looked again at the dark marker. "You think he is coming tonight?" "He always tries." That sentence made Ethan stop. "Tries." The alien woman folded her hands in front of her dark coat. "At 2:17 in the morning, this marker sends a signal." "A memorial diagnostic?" "That is what the caretaker says." "And you do not believe him?" "Diagnostics do not repeat only once a year on the anniversary of someone's disappearance." Ethan stared at the maintenance log. Same date. Same time. 6 consecutive years. Duration, 0.8 seconds. His professional curiosity pushed past the cold. "What is your name?" "Leora Venn." "Ethan Cole." Something changed in her eyes when she heard his last name. Ethan noticed, but did not understand why. He opened the memorial identity record. The screen hesitated, then displayed the registered occupant associated with the dark marker. Human male. Communications pilot. Caldera Research Expedition. Status, presumed deceased. Ethan's breathing stopped. He read the name once. Then again. Noah Cole. The cemetery seemed to lose every sound except the wind. Leora watched him carefully. "You know him?" Ethan stared at the name of the brother he had buried without a body 6 years earlier. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I knew him." Leora looked toward the stars again. "Then you know why I am waiting." Ethan closed the registry but kept one hand on the dark marker. "No," he said. "I think I just discovered that I knew a lot less about my brother than I thought." Ethan read Noah's name a third time before closing the registry. For 6 years, that memorial record had meant one thing to him: absence. Now an alien woman stood beside it, as if Noah had left behind an entire chapter nobody had thought to mention. "How did you know my brother?" he asked. Leora's amber eyes remained on the dark marker. "The Caldera. You were aboard?" "Junior xenobiology technician. First deep-range assignment." Ethan remembered the official reports. Cascading power failures. Communications collapse. Evacuation shuttles launched under emergency conditions. Noah's communications craft remained behind coordinating departure traffic and was never recovered. The passenger list did not include you. Avelari personnel were registered through the research consortium, not the human flight manifest. Ethan gave a quiet breath. Of course they were. You sound annoyed. I have spent 6 years reading reports that apparently came with missing pages. Leora looked at him. Noah complained about paperwork too. That hurt more gently than Ethan expected. Sounds like him. The cold deepened around them. Ethan checked the time. 11:48. More than 2 hours until the signal. You really stay until sunrise? Yes. Every year. Yes. In 34-degree weather? My species tolerates cold better than yours. That was not the part one considered unusual. She understood. Her expression closed slightly. Ethan did not push. Instead, he collected his diagnostic case. I will be back. You do not have to return. I know. 20 minutes later, Ethan walked back through the memorial gate, carrying 2 cups from the overnight service kiosk. He offered one to Leora. What is it? Coffee. I know what coffee is. Good. Saves time. She accepted it cautiously. Why 2? One would have been selfish. Leora held the cup between both hands, letting the warmth reach her fingers. You do not have to stay. Ethan looked at the dark marker. Neither do you. Yes, I do. He heard no anger in the answer. Only certainty worn smooth by repetition. Ethan sat on a low stone bench several feet away. He did not tell her Noah was gone. He did not ask why she could not move on. 6 years of waiting deserved better than a stranger arriving with a conclusion. After several minutes, Leora spoke. Your brother saved my life. Ethan looked toward her. During the evacuation? She nodded. The final shuttle had one functioning guidance channel. Noah remained on the communications deck to route us through debris and failing traffic beacons. Her gaze lowered to the coffee. I refused to board without him. Ethan could picture Noah's reaction. He probably hated that. He became extremely loud. Ethan smiled despite himself. That was Noah. He told me the network would survive longer than the ship. He said if we were separated, I should go to Haven 7. Why here? Because this was home. Ethan looked across the rows of glowing markers. For us, yes. He said, if the network survives, meet me at Haven 7. I will find you. The words settled between them. And then Caldera disappeared. Ethan said, yes. You came here anyway. 3 weeks later. And waited. Until sunrise. Ethan looked at her. Then you came back the next year. Because the marker transmitted. She touched the dark housing gently. 2:17 in the morning. 0.8 seconds. And every anniversary since. Exactly. Ethan opened his portable reader again. 6 anomalies. Same timestamp. Same duration. That was too precise for random degradation. Did anyone analyze the carrier? The caretaker said it was an automated diagnostic handshake. Did anyone show you the waveform? No. Ethan stared at the maintenance entries. That is not the same as analyzing it. Leora's eyes sharpened. You think it could be something else? I think I do not know. He looked at the time. 12:23. But I brought a spectrum analyzer. For the first time that night, hope appeared clearly on her face. Ethan immediately regretted how easy it would be to feed it. Leora. She waited. I am not promising that signal is Noah. The hope remained, but steadied. I know. It could be a corrupted diagnostic. I know. Or old memorial hardware doing something stupid. Your machines sound difficult. They learned from humans. A small smile touched her mouth. Ethan set the analyzer beside the marker and began connecting passive sensors. He had come to the cemetery expecting to repair a malfunction before midnight. Instead, he found himself preparing to listen for a message from a dead brother, while the only person who believed it mattered stood beside him, holding cooling coffee. At 2:17, one of them would finally learn whether 6 years of waiting had been built around a machine's mistake or something far harder to explain. At 2:16 in the morning, Haven 7 Memorial Field felt less like a cemetery and more like an instrument waiting for a note. Ethan sat on the cold stone bench with the spectrum analyzer balanced across his knees. Frost had thickened along the gravel path. Leora stood beside Noah's dark marker, both hands wrapped around the coffee she had stopped drinking an hour earlier. Neither spoke. The analyzer clock changed to 2:16 and 30 seconds. Ethan checked the passive receiver. Signal floor stable. Leora looked toward him. How long? 40 seconds. Her amber eyes returned to the marker. Ethan wondered how many times she had stood exactly like this while everyone else slept. 20 seconds. 10. The memorial lights around them remained blue and steady. 2:17. Noah's marker pulsed. A faint white line appeared across its dark surface and vanished almost immediately. Ethan's analyzer chirped. Leora inhaled sharply. There. Ethan was already looking at the waveform. 0.8 seconds. Exactly as the maintenance logs recorded. But the shape was wrong for a diagnostic handshake. A diagnostic would begin with station identification, hardware status, then a verification request. This signal opened with 3 narrow carrier peaks, followed by a compressed data burst. Ethan leaned closer. That is not a diagnostic. Leora did not move. You are certain? Yes. Then what is it? Ethan replayed the captured waveform. 3 peaks. Pause. 2 peaks. Another pause. Something cold moved through him that had nothing to do with the weather. Noah used this carrier pattern. Leora turned. What? Ethan stared at the display. When we were kids, our father had 2 old short-range radios. Noah kept modifying them until they barely qualified as radios anymore. He used 3 short pulses and 2 long ones as his personal test pattern. Could someone else know that? Maybe. Ethan hated the answer, but it was the honest one. The packet has data behind it. Let me see whether it survived. He ran checksum verification. Failed. He tried again with Memorial Archive correction enabled. Failed. Leora's hope tightened into something more fragile. Corrupted? Maybe. Ethan expanded the header. The memorial system had received the packet years earlier, stored it, attempted delivery, failed, then scheduled another retry. The same process repeated annually. This is not being generated by the marker, he said. It is stored here. Since when? Ethan opened the archive timestamp. His hand stopped. 6 years ago. Leora stepped closer. When? 4 hours before Caldera's final communications blackout. Silence settled between the glowing graves. Leora looked at Noah's marker as though it had changed shape. He sent something. Looks that way. To me. Ethan examined the recipient field. It was unreadable to the memorial software, a block of symbols converted into meaningless hexadecimal characters. The system does not know. Leora's face fell. Ethan raised a hand. That does not mean no. He copied the header to his tablet and compared it against Haven, 7 identity formats. Human registry identifiers used 16 standardized fields. This packet used 23. This is not human identity encoding. Leora leaned over the screen. Her expression changed immediately. Avelari. Ethan looked at her. You recognize it? The first sequence marks biological lineage. The second identifies individual memory registration. She pointed carefully. That section is a recipient key. Ethan felt his pulse quicken. Can you read it? Not directly. Civilian identity keys are encrypted. But the format is yours. Yes. Ethan sat back. The answer was suddenly simple enough to be infuriating. Noah had sent a legacy human emergency packet addressed using an Avelari identity key. Haven, 7 had received it, recognized enough of the transmission to preserve it, then failed every year because its memorial software could not interpret the recipient field. Receive. Attempt decode. Fail. Retry. 6 years of automated persistence mistaken for a diagnostic fault. Leora touched the edge of the marker. I was not imagining it. Ethan looked at her. No. The word came out quietly. You heard something real. Her eyes closed for a moment. She did not cry. She simply breathed, as if 6 years of doubt had finally loosened by 1 degree. Ethan opened the packet tools. I think I can build a translation layer between the Avelari key and the human archive. Leora's eyes opened. Then do it. Ethan started to move, but she caught herself. Wait. He stopped. Her hand remained on the marker. If this is his last message, I have spent 6 years wanting to hear it. Okay. That does not mean I am ready to hear it in the next 5 minutes. Ethan slowly lowered the tablet. Also okay. Leora looked surprised. You will wait. Ethan glanced across the frost-covered cemetery, then at the second coffee cup beside him. Apparently that is what the Cole family is doing tonight. A small, unsteady smile appeared on her face. Ethan closed the decoding interface without deleting anything. The packet was real. Noah had sent it. Leora was almost certainly its intended recipient. For 6 years, she had been waiting for someone impossible. Now Ethan understood the stranger truth. The dead man had already arrived. His message simply had not known how to say her name. Leora did not ask Ethan to decode the packet immediately. For the next 40 minutes, they sat beside Noah's marker while the cemetery lights cast long blue reflections across the frost. Ethan kept the tablet closed on his lap. The packet had waited 6 years. Another hour would not hurt it. At 2:58, Leora finally spoke. I thought finding the message would make this easier. Ethan looked at her. Did it? No. That sounds inconvenient. Her amber eyes shifted toward him. You make jokes when you are uncomfortable. Family tradition. Noah did that too. Ethan smiled faintly. He was worse. The wind moved through the memorial trees. Leora looked at the dark marker. Every year I told myself I came here because of the signal. But the first year, I did not know there would be one. Ethan waited. I came because he told me to meet him here. When sunrise came, I left. The next year, I returned because I thought perhaps I had misunderstood the promise. And then you heard the pulse. Yes. Her fingers tightened around the cold coffee cup. After that, leaving became harder. Ethan understood. The signal had not simply given her hope. It had given hope a schedule. 2:17. Same date. Same marker. Every year. Did you ever think about not coming back? He asked. Every year. What changed your mind? The possibility that this would be the year the signal completed. Ethan looked at the tablet. That is a difficult thing to walk away from. You think I should have? No. She turned toward him. Most humans would. Most humans did not just discover their dead brother has been retrying a corrupted message for 6 years. Leora lowered her gaze. You lost him too. The sentence caught Ethan off guard. All night, Noah had existed between them mostly as Leora's promise and Ethan's mystery. Yeah. Why did you never come here on this date? I did not know it mattered. He looked toward the marker. Noah and I talked about everything when we were younger. Then he joined deep-range communications. I stayed on Haven, 7 repairing memorial systems, which he considered aggressively boring. Leora almost smiled. That sounds like him. The last year before Caldera, we spoke maybe once a month. Sometimes less. Ethan rubbed his hands together against the cold. When he disappeared, I spent a long time being angry that our last conversation had been about a broken coffee machine. What did he say? He told me to stop buying cheap parts. Leora gave a quiet laugh. Useful final wisdom. Financially irresponsible wisdom. Silence returned, but it felt different now. Shared rather than empty. At 3:12, Ethan opened the tablet. I can build the translation layer without opening the message. Leora considered that. Then do that. He connected the captured packet to an offline diagnostic module. Human legacy header on one side. Avelari recipient structure on the other. The problem became technical, which Ethan appreciated. Technical problems had edges. He mapped 23 identity fields, converted lineage markers into archive-compatible tags, then rebuilt the recipient checksum without touching the encrypted payload. 40 minutes later, the system returned a clean result. Recipient identity verified. Leora Venn. Neither moved. Leora stared at her own name. It is mine. Yeah. Ethan's voice was quieter than he intended. A second line appeared beneath it. Payload integrity, 99.8%. Playback available. Ethan reached toward the control, then stopped before touching it. Your message. Leora looked at the play field. Her hand rose, hovered, then lowered. Not yet. Ethan locked the interface. Not yet. She studied him. You are not disappointed? I have waited 6 years without knowing this existed. I can survive another hour. You make waiting sound simple. Ethan looked across the glowing markers. No. I think I am finally understanding that it is not. Leora sat beside him on the stone bench for the first time that night. Their shoulders remained several inches apart. No comforting touch. No instruction. Just 2 people beneath a cold sky and one unopened message between them. After a while, Leora said, What if hearing him makes it worse? Ethan watched frost gather along the edge of Noah's marker. Then it makes it worse. That is your advice? I repair memorial systems. Emotional certainty is outside my certification. A small smile appeared, then faded. And if I never become ready? Ethan thought about the 6 annual pulses, each one arriving faithfully to a system that could not understand the recipient. Waiting is not the same as being ready, he said. Leora looked at the dark marker. No. She placed her cup on the ground and took a slow breath. But tonight I want to be. Ethan unlocked the tablet and placed it between them. He did not press play. Leora reached toward the screen herself. The cemetery remained silent around them. Noah's voice was one touch away, 6 years late, and this time the machine finally knew who had been waiting. Leora pressed play. For half a second, nothing happened. Then static whispered from Ethan's tablet, thin and distant, followed by a breath he recognized before the voice even formed. Leora, if this reaches you. The network lasted longer than I expected. Ethan stopped breathing. Noah. 6 years had changed Ethan's memory of his brother's voice, smoothing its edges until he could no longer remember the exact weight of it. The recording restored everything in one sentence. The slight roughness. The habit of speaking too quickly when systems were failing. The calm he used when he was afraid and did not want anyone else to know. Leora sat perfectly still beside him. Caldera communications is down to emergency power, Noah continued. A faint alarm sounded somewhere behind the recording, distant and mechanical. I have enough transmission capacity for 1 legacy packet, maybe 2 if the relay behaves better than it has all week. Ethan almost smiled. Even at the end, Noah had been arguing with equipment. You made the shuttle. That matters. I know what I told you before launch. Haven, 7. Memorial Field. I said I would find you there. Leora's amber eyes lowered. I meant it when I said it. I still mean it. But I need you to understand something I should have said before. Static crossed the recording. The waveform dipped, recovered. Finding you does not have to mean I walk through that gate. Leora's fingers tightened around the edge of the tablet. Ethan looked away, giving her the small privacy available on a stone bench beneath an open sky. Noah continued, if I make it home, I will find you. If I do not, this message has to do it for me. The cemetery lights hummed softly around them. Do not turn Haven, 7 into the place where your life stops, because mine did. Do not stand there proving you kept your promise until there is nothing left of you except the waiting. Leora closed her eyes. She did not cry. Her breathing simply became slower, as if each sentence required room. You kept it the moment you came, Noah said. That was enough. Ethan stared at the frost beneath his boots. For 6 years, Leora had returned because she believed leaving before the impossible happened might mean failing Noah. Noah had spent his final transmission trying to release her from exactly that burden. There are places you told me you wanted to see. The recording continued. The blue storms on Meridian. The floating forests on Caro. That ridiculous market on Earth where humans apparently sell 40 kinds of cheese. Leora made a small sound between a laugh and a breath. Ethan remembered Noah complaining about that market after a family trip. Go see them. Be angry with me if you need to. Miss me when it happens. Forget me for entire afternoons. I will not take it personally. Static flickered again. Then Noah's voice softened. Leora, waiting for me is not the same thing as loving me. You already did that. I knew. The recording went quiet. Ethan thought it was over. Leora opened her eyes. Noah, a final burst of data appeared on the waveform. The system processed it, then resumed playback. One more thing, Noah said. If the memorial system actually delivers this correctly, then Ethan probably repaired it. Ethan looked sharply at the tablet. Leora turned toward him. My brother is an environmental memorial technician on Haven 7, Noah continued. He is stubborn, suspicious of software, and will absolutely complain that I used a legacy packet. Ethan stared into the darkness. That is unfairly accurate. Leora gave a fragile smile. Noah's voice continued. Ethan, if you are hearing this too, I am sorry this is how you found out about her. Ethan's chest tightened. A second recipient field appeared beneath Leora's verified identity. Ethan Cole. Do not tell her to move on, Noah said. People say that when they want grief to become convenient. Just make sure she does not have to wait alone. Ethan closed his eyes for 1 second. When he opened them, Leora was looking at him. Neither spoke. The message ended with a soft carrier tone. No dramatic goodbye. No final declaration. Just the same 3 narrow pulses Ethan remembered from childhood, followed by 2 longer ones. Then silence. The tablet displayed playback complete. Leora looked toward Noah's dark marker. 6 years, she whispered. Ethan nodded. The system kept trying. So did I. Yeah. She sat quietly, listening to a voice that was no longer there. Ethan did not tell her what the message meant. Noah had already been careful not to do that. Instead, Ethan picked up the second cup of cold coffee and stayed beside her. The impossible person she had waited for had finally arrived, not through the cemetery gate, but through 0.8 seconds of corrupted signal that refused to disappear. For the next 20 minutes, neither Ethan nor Leora moved from the bench. Noah's marker remained dark. The annual transmission had finished, and for the first time in 6 years, the system had nothing left to retry. Ethan saved the decoded packet into the memorial archive, then created 2 verified copies, one under Leora's identity and one under his own. He did not press play again. Hearing Noah once had already rearranged enough of the night. Leora stared across the rows of blue memorial lights. I thought I would feel relieved. Maybe you will. Later. Could be tomorrow. Could be inconveniently scheduled. Her amber eyes shifted toward him. You do not know. Not even slightly. A faint smile touched her mouth. Then she looked back toward Noah's marker. He remembered the places. The blue storms. All of them. She folded her hands in her lap. I told him about Meridian during a 12-hour communications watch. He said any planet advertising storms as a tourist attraction deserved fewer tourists. Ethan smiled. That sounds right. He hated the floating forests. He never saw them. He hated the idea of them. Also sounds right. Silence returned. It was not empty anymore. Noah existed inside it differently now. Not as someone expected through the gate. As a voice finally heard. Leora looked at the time. 4:11. I have stayed until sunrise every year. I know. The first year because I promised. The second because of the signal. After that, I stopped knowing which reason mattered. Ethan leaned forward, forearms resting on his knees. You do not have to solve 6 years before breakfast. Humans organize grief around meals. We organize most emergencies around coffee. Leora looked at the 2 cold cups on the ground. Your evidence is poor. That coffee has suffered enough. She laughed softly, then became serious again. Noah told you not to let me wait alone. Ethan nodded. He did. Do you feel obligated now? The question was direct enough to make him sit straighter. No. Leora studied him. You answered quickly. Because Noah does not get to assign me your life from 6 years away. Her eyes widened slightly. Ethan continued. He asked me to sit with you. I did. What happens after tonight is yours. And yours. Ethan looked at her. Yeah, mine too. Leora seemed to consider that distinction carefully. You are not replacing him. I would be terrible at it. Why? Noah could fly through a communications blackout. I repair cemetery beacons and complain about replacement parts. He complained about replacement parts too. Then apparently our family has one transferable skill. Her smile lasted longer this time. At 4:36, Leora stood. Ethan expected her to stretch her legs. Instead, she picked up the empty coffee cup and looked toward the path leading to the cemetery gate. You are leaving? He asked. I think so. Ethan checked the eastern horizon. Still dark. Sunrise was more than an hour away. You always stay until sunrise. Yes. She looked at Noah's marker. That was before he arrived. Ethan followed her gaze. The marker remained dark and ordinary. No projection. No ghost. Just a machine that had spent 6 years refusing to discard an undelivered packet. Leora stepped closer to it and rested 2 fingers against the cold surface. I kept thinking that if I left too early, I might miss him. Her voice was barely above the wind. Now I know he was already here. Ethan stayed beside the bench. He did not tell her goodbye was healthy. He did not tell her Noah would want this. The dead had already said enough for one night. Leora lowered her hand and turned toward the path. She walked several steps, then stopped. Ethan. Yeah. Are you staying? He looked at the diagnostic case, the frost, and the dark marker he had technically been assigned to repair. I should finish the maintenance report. Is the beacon broken? Ethan considered the question. No. Then what will you write? He picked up the case. Compatibility failure between legacy human messaging and Avelari recipient encoding. Leora nodded solemnly. Very emotional. Maintenance departments fear emotion. She smiled. Come with me. Ethan looked toward the gate. Where? I do not know yet. That answer seemed important. He joined her on the path. Behind them, Noah's marker remained among thousands of blue lights. Ahead, the eastern sky had begun to soften from black to deep gray. Leora had spent 6 years measuring this night by how long she could remain beside one grave. For the first time, she was measuring it by where she might go next. They reached the memorial gate at 4:48 in the morning. Ethan expected Leora to stop there. She had crossed that boundary at sunrise every year for 6 years, always leaving Noah behind in the same place. Instead, she walked through without looking back. Haven, 7 beyond the cemetery, was only beginning to wake. Streetlights glowed above empty sidewalks. Delivery vehicles moved quietly along the lower transit lanes. The air remained 34 degrees Fahrenheit, and Ethan could see his breath when he spoke. There is a diner about half a mile east. Leora looked at him. A diner. Humans invented them for people who are awake at unreasonable hours and making questionable decisions. Are we making questionable decisions? We left the cemetery before sunrise to find breakfast. I think we qualify. A small smile appeared. They walked east. Ethan carried the diagnostic case in one hand and both empty coffee cups in the other until he found a recycling station. Leora moved beside him without hurry. For the first few blocks, she kept glancing upward whenever a transit light crossed the sky. Ethan noticed but did not ask. Eventually she said, "Every year, when I left the memorial field, I went directly to the shuttle terminal." "Where did you go?" "Wherever I had been living that year." "You moved often?" 5 stations. 2 research colonies. 1 orbital laboratory. Ethan looked at her. "That sounds less like waiting and more like an impressive commute." I continued working. "Good. You sound surprised." "No. Relieved, maybe." Leora's expression became thoughtful. "You assumed I had spent 6 years doing nothing except waiting." Ethan considered denying it. "A little. I did not stop living entirely. Noah would probably appreciate the correction. But I did arrange everything around returning here." Her voice softened. "Jobs, travel schedules, research assignments. I never accepted anything that would make this night impossible." Ethan understood the difference. Her life had continued, but one date had remained immovable. One promise still controlled the calendar. They reached the diner just after 5. Warm yellow light filled the windows. Inside, only 3 tables were occupied. Ethan ordered coffee and eggs. Leora studied the menu for almost 2 minutes. "There are 14 kinds of breakfast potatoes. Human civilization peaked early. Noah said your species could turn one vegetable into an argument." He was correct. She ordered something called a sunrise skillet, mostly because the name amused her. They sat across from each other near the window. No memorial lights. No dark marker. Just scratched metal tables, quiet kitchen sounds, and the smell of coffee. Leora wrapped both hands around a fresh cup. "What happens to the packet now?" "I will file a compatibility correction with Memorial Systems. Your verified copy remains yours. Mine remains mine. Will the marker transmit again next year?" Ethan shook his head. "Not unless you request it. Delivery completed." The words landed harder than he expected. Leora looked down at the coffee. "Delivery completed." "Yeah. 6 years late. Our service department has received worse reviews." She smiled, then became quiet. "I do not know what I am supposed to do with next year." Ethan looked through the diner window. The eastern sky was turning pale silver. "Nothing yet. That sounds irresponsible. You have almost 12 months to become responsible." Leora watched the light change outside. Noah mentioned Meridian. "Blue storms. I received an offer there 2 years ago." Ethan looked back at her. "You declined it because you could not return here in time." "Yes." "Still interested?" She considered the question. "Maybe." Ethan nodded. He did not tell her to go. He did not say Noah would want it. The choice did not need a dead man's permission or a living man's encouragement. A server placed breakfast between them. Leora stared at the skillet. "This is excessive." That is the traditional American breakfast standard. There are 3 kinds of potatoes. Restraint varies by region. She laughed quietly. Outside, dawn brightened over Haven 7. Leora noticed first. Her amber eyes moved toward the window. Ethan followed her gaze. Sunrise. For 6 years, that moment had meant she was finally allowed to leave the graveyard. This morning, she was already half a mile away, sitting in a diner with cooling coffee and too many potatoes. She watched the first sunlight touch the buildings and did not stand. Ethan did not say anything. Some departures did not need to be announced. Sometimes the first proof that waiting had ended was simply realizing you were somewhere else when the sun came up. 3 weeks after the night at Haven 7 Memorial Field, Ethan received a message at work from an address he did not recognize. He was inside Memorial Systems workshop too, replacing a failing projection emitter when his tablet chimed beside the open housing. He expected another maintenance request. Instead, the sender field read Leora Vin. Ethan stopped turning the calibration tool. The message contained one photograph. Leora stood beneath a pale violet sky beside a research shuttle, her cyan blue skin reflecting the strange light, while silver-white hair moved around her tapered ears. Behind her, an enormous atmospheric formation stretched across the horizon in bands of electric blue. Beneath the image were 6 words. Meridian storms are unnecessarily dramatic. Ethan smiled. He typed back. Noah would have complained about the weather. Her reply arrived 2 minutes later. He would have complained about the ticket price first. Ethan laughed quietly and returned to the emitter. That became the pattern. Leora did not send daily updates. Neither did Ethan. Some weeks there were 3 messages. Sometimes 10 days passed without one. She sent photographs of places Noah had once remembered in a dying transmission. Meridian's blue storms. A transport station overlooking Caro floating forests. A market where an Avelari vendor sold something Ethan could not identify and Leora described only as a poor decision with seasoning. Ethan sent pictures from Haven, 7. Broken memorial projectors. Bad coffee. A maintenance drone that repeatedly parked beneath the wrong charging station. Nothing about their messages demanded anything from the other. Ethan liked that. One afternoon, Leora called from Caro. Behind her, enormous green islands floated above a silver cloud layer, held aloft by mineral formations that distorted the planet's magnetic field. Noah was wrong, she said. About what? The forests. Ethan looked at the view behind her. He hated them without seeing them. Exactly. His opinion was scientifically useless. Please respect family tradition. Leora smiled. Then her expression softened. I thought coming here would feel like betraying him. Ethan waited. Does it? No. She looked toward the floating forest. It feels like bringing something he remembered into a place he never reached. Ethan understood more than he expected. That sounds different. It is. A pause followed. I listened to the message again yesterday. Okay. Only once. Ethan nodded. He did not ask whether it hurt. Leora would tell him if she wanted to. There was something I noticed. What? Noah never told me to stop missing him. Ethan leaned against the workshop bench. No. He told me not to make missing him my location. Ethan became quiet. That sounded like Noah, even though Noah had never said those exact words. Seems he occasionally made sense. Do not damage his reputation. Ethan smiled. 2 months after the cemetery, Haven, 7 completed the memorial compatibility update. Avelari recipient encoding became officially supported across the colony archive. Ethan personally tested the patch on Noah's marker. No annual retry remained scheduled. Delivery completed appeared in the maintenance history. He stood before the marker for several minutes, then sent Leora a photograph of the status line. Her response came later that evening. Good. Just that. Good. Ethan understood. The next morning, another message arrived. Leora had accepted a 6-month xenobiology assignment on Meridian. Ethan read it while drinking coffee at the same diner where they had watched sunrise together. He felt something unexpected beneath the happiness for her. Distance, perhaps, or the awareness that healing sometimes meant people became capable of leaving you too. He typed 3 words. Sounds like you. Then deleted them. Too sentimental. He tried again. Check the contract before signing. Noah would haunt me administratively if you do not. Leora replied with a laughing symbol, followed by a photograph of the signed agreement. Months earlier, she had built her calendar around 1 grave and 1 night. Now 6 months of unexplored days stretched ahead of her. Ethan finished his coffee and walked to work beneath the Haven, 7 morning light. He did not know what Leora would choose after Meridian. He did not know what their connection would become. For once, uncertainty did not feel like something waiting to be repaired. It felt like proof that both of them had somewhere left to go. 6 months later, Ethan was replacing a memorial beacon lens when someone placed a cup of coffee beside his tool case. He looked at the cup first, then at the cyan blue hand holding it. Leora stood on the gravel path beneath the soft evening lights of Haven, 7 Memorial Field, silver-white hair moving gently around her tapered ears. Her amber eyes carried the same strange brightness he remembered from the night they met, but something in them had changed. They were no longer fixed on a point beyond the present. You are early, Ethan said. For what? He checked the date on his tablet. It was the anniversary of Caldera's disappearance. Right. Leora followed his glance. I know what day it is. And you came back. I did. Ethan looked toward Noah's marker several rows away. It glowed blue now, operating normally after the compatibility update. No transmission retry waited inside it. No failed checksum. No message trying to complete a 6-year journey. Meridian assignment finished? Yesterday. How were the storms? Unnecessarily dramatic. Consistent with previous findings. She handed him the coffee. Ethan took it. You remembered. Memorial technicians require operational support. That is almost thoughtful. Do not become difficult. They walked toward Noah's marker together. Leora carried no flowers. Ethan carried no diagnostic equipment beyond the tablet already clipped to his belt. When they reached the grave, Leora stopped. The marker displayed Noah's name, service record, and a small line Ethan had added after receiving family authorization. Legacy message delivered. Leora touched the edge of the marker. I went to Cairo. I saw the pictures. The forests are worse in person. Beautiful. Extremely. Ethan smiled. Terrible. I visited the market on Earth too. 40 kinds of cheese. 53. Ethan looked offended. Civilization has lost control. Leora laughed softly. Then she became quiet. I listened to his message once on Meridian. Ethan waited. I thought hearing it again would bring me back here. Did it? No. She looked at Noah's name. It reminded me why I left. The cemetery lights brightened automatically as the sky darkened. 6 years earlier, Leora had arrived at sunset and remained until sunrise. Ethan checked the time. 7:21. Are you staying tonight? He asked. Leora considered the question. No. No hesitation. No apology. Just an answer. Ethan nodded. Okay. She looked at him. That is all. You expected paperwork? From you, possibly. I have forms available. Her smile returned. They stood beside Noah for another minute. Leora did not say goodbye. Neither did Ethan. Noah had already received enough goodbyes from people who never got to hear his final words. Leora finally stepped away from the marker. There is something I wanted to ask you. That sounds dangerous. Do you still go to that diner? Against medical judgment, yes. Are there still 14 kinds of breakfast potatoes? Probably more. Humans are ambitious. Leora looked toward the cemetery gate. Then come with me. Ethan glanced at Noah's marker. For a moment, an old instinct told him leaving on this date should feel wrong. Then he remembered his brother's voice. Do not tell her to move on. Just make sure she does not have to wait alone. Ethan understood now that the request had never meant he should keep her company beside the grave forever. Sometimes not waiting alone meant having someone willing to walk away with you when you were ready. He joined her on the path. They reached the gate before 8. Leora crossed without looking back. Outside, Haven 7 glowed beneath a clear night sky. Transit lights moved between distant towers. Restaurants were opening for the late shift. Somewhere beyond the colony, ships departed toward Meridian, Cairo, Earth, and places neither of them had seen. Where after breakfast? Ethan asked. Leora looked at him. I do not know. 6 months earlier, that answer had frightened her. Now she smiled when she said it. Ethan lifted his coffee. Good. They walked toward the city together. Behind them, Noah's marker remained exactly where it belonged, carrying a delivered message instead of an unfinished promise. The dead had kept his word. The living no longer had to stand still to prove they remembered.